Right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is going to be an interesting one today, and we've had a lot of messages about making sure we review this product. So we've got the Takomo irons. They've released 3 new irons, which we're going to talk about all the models in this video. I've got Sam with me as normal. Hello, Sam. How are you?
Good, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Exciting one today.
Yeah, it is. So this sort of direct-to-consumer market over the last couple of years has just gone bananas. We've seen, and Takomo have been really at the forefront of that, haven't they, with some incredible product, making it look that sort of Scandinavian minimalism. It's really sort of captured the imaginations, as well as the pretty incredible price point.
Yep.
They've gone heavy into the sort of influencer market. Now we've got Grant Horvat as part of the ownership team, the Bryan Brothers using product, which you did a What's in the Bag, put some footage of that up with those boys. So yeah, really interested to try this product out. So let me get into those ranges there. Let's talk about what we've got in your hands. So you've got the 101 Mark II. So that is replacing the original 101. That was a roaring success. That was their hollow body, game improvement iron, stock for just stock for the sort of mid to high handicappers who needed that power boost, quite strong, 7 iron at 29 degrees. So that's got a lot to live up to. Price wise, we're looking there, $649 for a 40 pitching wedge set, €649, 529 in terms of pounds. And we've been reviewing other products, even today, that's £1,600 for a 7 iron set. So you can see why these price points are really attractive to people. Then the 201 Mark II you've got in your hand as well. It's 31 degrees. That's more player's distance. I think P790, I think T250 from Titleist around that. And that's replacing what was the 101T. So just a slightly more refined player-ish version of the 101, essentially. And then the final line you've got is the 201T Mark II. I don't know why they've called it Mark II, because there wasn't a Mark I of the 201T. So I guess it's just to bring it in line with the rest of the range. And they're calling that their players' precision iron. It's a 33-degree 7 iron, still hollow-bodied. So I guess you're thinking more in your P770 tailor-made kind of equivalents there. And yeah, a little bit more expensive, the second 2 models that I'm talking about, but still, I mean, so the 201 Mark II there, $649, 649 euros, 619 pounds, and then the 201T Mark II, 679 and 619 in terms of pounds. So really, still some incredible value,
affordable price, right?
Yeah,
for a brand new set of irons.
It's good stuff, isn't it? So well, it's only good stuff if it works, though, doesn't it? True. So let's get you hitting some shots. Let's start with the 101, Sam. If you can pick that out.
Try and find it. What's interesting there is I've just tried to pick it out from the top line, which is quite difficult.
And some ranges, isn't it? You can see quite a lot of, oh, well, that's clearly bigger. I thought that the amount of times I've done in testing and picked up the wrong iron, when you're just looking from that angle, there isn't much in it from a profile point of view, but you've got the 101 in your hand now, so let's have a little look. So as Sam's getting ready, as I said, stated loft is 29 degrees, and I'm going to say what we've measured this stuff at before, because that's something I hear on the D2C sort of underground chat, is people saying, oh, they don't get the specs right, I've got them in, the specs were all wrong, etc, etc. So, but I can tell you from this one, the actual loft is bang on 29 degrees, the lie angle 62.5 as stated. The rest of the specs I'll put up there for you. They've sent them all for us in the KBS Tour 130X. So yeah, we're going to obviously sort of standardise all that across the range, so we've got the same specs in everything other than the loft. So first swing, first impact, what's your thoughts?
Feel as you would expect, I think, from a hollow body iron. Got a bit more of a clickiness than maybe others on the market, which I don't hate, I don't love it, but some people, we've spoken about this in other videos, but sometimes that clickiness in these irons gives the feeling and the impression of power and speed. Yeah. And a lot of the time, if you're putting a hollow body iron in play, that's likely what you're looking for. So I can understand why people would love that. Cool.
One of the, I mean, again, we're talking minor aesthetic differences here, but they've added sort of a painted bottom groove this year, which you were saying beforehand when you picked them up. you actually really quite like the look of, and you think that's a nice touch. I was the opposite. We're quite often opposite in looks with our equipment preferences, aren't we? I just thought it looked a touch cheaper. Right from the back, from the shelf appeal point of view, I think these are astonishingly good. I think they look minimal, clean, premium. The finish is really nice. It's a slightly darker finish than I've seen before, but it's without being dark. But I don't know, just the painted bottom groove, it reminds me, Ping do it, and I don't mind it. It just tends to give me that sort of, I don't want to say package set vibe, but it sort of it cheapens it a little bit to me, but that just goes to show, the differences between what we think. It's so subjective.
I think
so minimal.
What's actually quite interesting, now I'm like really looking into it and looking at that line, that filled in kind of bottom groove, is there is a touch of offset on these clubs. I mean, we're not talking much, we're talking half a shaft maybe. That filled in white line actually, in this light at least, looks as though it takes the offset away a bit, which I quite like.
Lose a bit of the face.
Yeah, so now all of a sudden, it looks as though my bottom groove's lined up more in line with my shaft. That's just something I'm used to because I play an iron with very little offset. So that may be just a personal preference. That might be something that I just see that maybe others don't. But yeah, I don't mind the white line. Like you said, it's Ping do it, and it helps. Yeah, we've spoken about it with drivers, but it helps me kind of square up the face a bit more, square up to my target. So yeah, not something I hate.
Well, we'll let you carry on, hit a few more here, and then to go to the data, and then we're going to have a look at the 201 next. Right, interesting start. We're going to get stuck into the data at the end when we'll compare all these models, so we'll give you all that towards the end. So we're now going to look at the 201 Mark II. So as I said, replacing the 101T, which is, like I said, think this is tough competition here. Think P790, think T250 from Titleist.
We've done a comparison of those two as well, haven't we, already on this channel?
Yeah, and we know how good they are, we know how good they look, and we know how well they perform. So this will be an interesting one. Feel free to start clipping away. I just want to get stuck into the sort of the specifications here, because this is. I want to know your thoughts on this. Do you people watching this, when you're talking D2C, do you have these concerns about that the specs aren't going to come in correct? Because I'm seeing that a little bit here. While the stated loft on the 101 was exactly where it should be, the stated loft on this 201 that I received is 31 degrees in the 7.9. This measures it bang on 30, so it's a full degree stronger than it said it should be on the specifications. Also, in theory, we should have the same build here. From a swing weight point of view, because we're just going like for like, same length, same shaft. This one's coming in at D3.4, whereas the 101 that you were hitting before was D4.8, so basically a swing weight and a half lighter, which shouldn't really be happening. It's not masses, but I would suggest that you're a Titleist, a TaylorMade, you're not going to see that level of swing weight,
tighter tolerances, and that comes down to
money, probably.
Yeah, money and factory outlet costs. So
but don't let that dissuade you, because this is, spoiler alert, this is going to be a very positive review. I'm really impressed with these products and the value, particularly the looks. It's just something to be aware of, that if you do go down this route, I always think it's worth knowing a club fitter or a builder near you, that you could kind of take this product in, get it checked out, and all this stuff is easily rectifiable with just a bit of bending on a loft and line machine or half a strip of lead tape. So it's something to be aware of when you go into the D2C market. I do still see those tolerances just a little bit wider. Are you noticing any massive differences here to what you've just hit?
It's hard to say when I'm just looking at one after the other, but it does feel as though the spin rate has been fluctuating quite a lot on this model compared to the last.
Okay.
Obviously, I did hit that one on the last, on the 101, that was a long way out the bottom, and we obviously saw different parameters there. But I would say I'm jumping around quite a lot.
Yeah, 5.1, 5.8, 4.6, 6, There's a little bit of inconsistency in the spin there, certainly. It'd be interesting to delve
and part of
into
that is strike, but equally some of them have felt quite comparable with strike, and then I look up and I'm seeing different spin and kind of different launch. So
yeah, and I guess
something to think about.
I mean, the two there that I'd talk to, 10 and 11 here, 166 yards out of that one, spinning at 5.8. Then all of a sudden the spin drops off 1,200 revs and it's popped out there at 180 yards. So that's something you'd want to worry about on a golf course.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. That's the difference between, well, like we said, I mean, if you're going to pull a shot, you're likely going to see a little drop in spin and it's going to go further. Compared to that kind of, I guess, flared one that might spin up a little.
You've left the face open a little bit there and flared it up in terms of spin, I guess. And yeah, you have squared that up. It's finished left of target, but hardly a lot. That wouldn't equate to a 1,200 drop in spin. So that's something to be aware of. But just in terms of the feel off the face, how are we feeling about
that? Feels far more forged-like than the 101. That's a feeling I like. Far more compressed, less clicky, much more muted sound through impact.
I said in my review, it felt like the ball stays on the face a little bit longer.
Yeah.
It's almost like you can feel it melting in.
I think that's the forge-like feeling I was trying to describe is that, I use it a lot, but compressed feeling. Like you said, ball feels like it stays on that face and then comes back off. But it's not a jump back off.
No.
It feels good. Yeah.
Cool. Hit me a couple more then we'll move on to the 201T. Mark II that isn't a Mark II. Right, okay, so you've got the 201T in your hands here. So for those of you watching, you're trying to compare this to various models, think TaylorMade P770. So we're still kind of hollow body, kind of player's distance, but in that kind of more traditional loft department. I say traditional, it says 33 degrees loft on the 7-iron. Again, I've measured this one, it's a shade, it's just over 32, so it's probably 3/4 of a degree stronger than it says. So again, feeding into that kind of possible quality control thing with the specifications. That said, it must be said, to be fair, the other sort of specs that we've measured of lie angle's been perfectly constant throughout, 62.5 in everything. Length's been cut perfectly to 37.5, and we're back in a very similar swing weight to the last product there at D3.6. So maybe I'm going on about it too much, but I do think if you are any, and this isn't a Takomo thing, this is any D2C brand that maybe don't have the QC of the major OEMs, it's far from terminal, but I just definitely think from a consumer point of view, it's going to always be worth checking. Anything in profile you're noticing?
No, not really. I mean, literally behind the ball. I mean, in hand, looking at the backs of the irons, there's a slight difference, and obviously it has the detailing of the model number.
Yeah.
One thing I will point out with this, which is a bit of a bugbear, I hate the fact that the numbering, the stamping on these is so thick and bulky. I just don't like it. Everything else is fine line and detailing. You've got it's minimalist. It's actually a look that we both love. We love when it's kind of a clean looking blade, but you've got all this fine line detailing, Takomo, the model number, and then you've just got this huge chunky 7 stamped on the toe.
You think that could be a little more
subtle? If that was detailed and fine line like those, I just think it would look even more premium. So, but yeah, down behind the ball at address, there's literally nothing in the 3, I don't think.
Right, let's clip a couple away, get your initial thoughts on the feel there. So you're noticing any particular differences in feel across the range? Because obviously, realistically, the construction's not dissimilar. We're talking hollow-bodied irons.
Yeah.
And realistically, we've got the main differences are the lofts, the profiles and the lofts. Really, it's like we've got the same iron, but just in slightly different profiles and slightly different lofts. And we're seeing that here straight with the carry numbers, which are a little bit less than we've seen in the last one. Spinning, it's a little bit weaker in loft. Right?
See, that looked pretty consistent with spin there. I instantly less clicky, less jumpy than the other 2 models. Feels, I said the last one felt more forged. We've taken another step with this model here. The T01T. If you're after maybe a touch more help, but don't want to lose that forged feel, I would say this iron seems like the category the model that you would fit into?
Personally, I think there's a lot of people that need to be looking a little bit more at this genre of iron, because when we start going into hollow bodies and we talk about players distance, this could be the line ball you've been waiting for. When we start talking about hollow body and players distance, people are immediately, has Sam got the line? Oh no, pathetic off to the right. You immediately start getting into that ball speed and distance battle, and you see that sort of fitting bay battle all the time. And you know, if you're putting these up against each other and you just walked into your average fitter who didn't really know what was going to benefit your game, he's just going to look at that final number of carry, ball speed, go, you're getting much more out of these. And it's, well, yeah, obviously it's 2-3 degrees stronger in loft.
Yeah.
What we do have to remember is, and we'll talk about that in the data at the end, you've got to be able to make these playable. You've got to be able to stop them on greens. And people who are going to buy clubs like this are arguably not going to have the level of swing speed that you've got, and are going to struggle to maybe get the same peak height. They might not struggle to get that peak height because you've just hit a poor shot. But your general
about 2 inches behind the ball.
Correct. But these extra sort of couple of degrees throughout the set, I think are underutilised, and people need to start thinking that. Maybe sacrifice that 5 yards on the launch monitor number to get that peak height up, get that descent angle down, and play with a little bit more control.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? I think that we have looked at it with hollow body irons. We saw that in the test between the P790 and the T250, where yes, they're jacked lofts to all extent. However, we didn't lose much peak height. So it's kind of a...
Because of the CG location, right? So when they're jacking those loft forwards, they'll move CG loads to help you get that launch up. So you're getting your descent angle with... Well, you're getting your stopping power with descent angle rather than spin. It'd be interesting to see if that sort of carries through into what
and that pop in face and ball speed is what obviously helps give you that extra launch to create that height. So
cool. Right, let's get into another little cinematic montage of Sam Gavin, his last data here, and then we'll look at the table. Right, data's in, Sam. So an interesting data set. I mean, robot Sam, all his inputs stay very consistent, 90 point something there on the club. It's been a little slower than standard for you, but you've had a long day hitting balls here, so we'll give you a break there.
Hit a lot of shots today.
There's a couple of points that stand out to me. Interesting that the 201, you were actually a little bit quicker in terms of ball speed than the 101, even though it's a degree weaker. Well, it should be 2 degrees weaker, but it was actually 1 degree weaker than what we measured, so you'd think that would be the other way around, but that would probably be due to just some strike discrepancies that here and there, because you are, believe it or not, a human being. Launch angles, not much to talk about there, and obviously in terms of the carry distance, I'm just going to pop up some data with some comparable product, so some from the major OEMs in terms of the manufacturing style and the loft increments. We'll pop up some comparable stuff so you can see just how tight the actual performance data is in terms of launch and spin and carry numbers. It's really interesting, and I think that does show there's some real value to be had here. I think the one thing that we spoke about and we saw this throughout as you've been hitting more and more shots, even off camera here, is this kind of standard deviation in spin. While the spin numbers are all right, on the lower side, I would say for you, what we tended to see was a bit of up and down in that spin. Even if let me have a look at this one, for example, 4.7 to 6.1 to 5.7 to, the actual sort of level of consistency of spin. Of course, there's going to be a bit of human error in there. Yeah. Of course, that's going to be strike dependent. But even on some of the major OEMs that we test, even when you hit comparable strikes low or high on the face or heel and toe, we're not seeing that same level of fluctuation. So that's something to bear in mind. So, I mean, I don't know what you think about that in summary, but for me, the value proposition here is crazy. I mean, we're talking about irons 4 to pitching wedge here. Get my notes up again. That 101, 529 quid. Yeah, 619 for the 201.
There's some serious money to be saved, isn't there, by going with, Takomo and other direct-to-consumer brands.
We're talking a third of the price of some of the stuff we've been testing today. Yeah. £1,600 we've been looking at 4 to pitching wedge sets in some of the stuff. And for the people that are going to be looking in this market, I mean, tell us down in the comments if you're someone who's shopping in the D2C market, or you've played Takomo, or you're looking to play Takomo, do you care that if you hit it a bit lower on the face, you might see 200 revs more spin than if you got the P790 equivalent for something. Do you care? And is that going to make a vast difference to your actual score and your enjoyment of the game, rather than having an extra £1,000 in your pocket to spend on lessons, a golf holiday, or whatever else you want to spend? I'll be intrigued to know what people think about that. And then, I mean, the other thing for me would just be that specification thing. But again, we're not talking masses here. What I've tested there, and I've heard some other stuff. Obviously, you know, Sam, I do the podcast, Kickpoint podcast, and we have a lot of correspondence with people and club makers that I got this set in and it was 3 degrees weak and it should have been 1 upright, it was 2 flat. And I've certainly never seen that when I've measured any Takomo product. This is as far away as it's been for me. Like a full degree out in loft isn't ideal, but again, if you know a decent club builder or club maker, it's a 5-second job to rectify that. And I think it's probably worth saying as well that's probably a good point to say. Go and get, even if you've got irons that you've had for a year now, getting your lofts and lies checked is a bigger deal than you may think. If you start to see, you know, gaps kind of close up, you know, in your mid irons maybe, or your long irons, it could be that, especially if you hit off mats. Yeah. If you hit off mats, you go to the range a lot, you practice a decent amount, even off grass. They move.
Go and get them checked, because especially forged constructed heads, like that, you know, susceptible to, you know, tweaking the lofts here and there and lie angles. So go and get them checked.
Heaven forbid if you're a club slammer, you can make some modifications to your.
We don't do that here.
Well, not here at the Performance Lab, obviously. But yeah, so I'd say in summary, good job, Takomo. They look great. It's a nice cohesive range. Feel really good. Are they as tight in tolerances as some of the major OEMs? Possibly not. Is there the consistency of spin? Possibly not. But do they do an incredible job for an incredible price? Absolutely blooming yes. Great job. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think down in the comments below.